So imagine that you have been looking for awakening for years or decades or a lifetime, and then you get it, right? And as a result of it, you get depressed. So now you know that you are not depressed, but there is depression. That's not something to look forward to, right? Well, it looks like, in fact, there are some people that get depressed, but it's not the depression, a clinical depression, but it has in common with clinical depression one thing, and is lack of motivation. There could be, after awakening, a significant loss of motivation. Now, when you look into the depressive symptoms, when there is clinical depression, a loss of motivation, a significant loss of motivation is at the top of the list. So, evidently that there is something in common there. So let's analyze that situation so that you can avoid getting depressed after awakening. And it is relatively easy to see through this illusion, but it can come after awakening. The mind may tell you after awakening that, well, you know, now what? You are that with capital T, but there's nothing that you need to do anymore, and all the goals that you have been pursuing at a material level or at a mental level or professional level, they are illusions. So the mind can easily tell you this story, and it would not be completely false because from the perspective of awakening, the awakening state, they are illusions. Pursuing anything, that anything is an illusion. So what do you do in that situation, right? The solution to this riddle comes from the word integrating. Integrating what? Integrating different levels of motivation, different levels of existence, from the physical to mental, professional, and also spiritual, or let's say consciousness level. So integrating these things instead of removing things, so that because everything is an illusion, you remove all your, quotes, lesser motivations, and then you become depressed. That's not the way to go. That's not the direction to move after awakening. You need to honor the dream, honor the illusion, even after awakening. And why this? Well, because your consciousness is still present in a body, in a physical body, and interacting with this environment. Therefore, as long as there is a body, you need to honor the illusion at that level. If you have shed the physical body already and still consciousness is participating in the illusion or drama of the astral world, which is obviously much more delightful than the physical, still there is illusion there, and you honor that illusion as long as there is an astral body. In here, as long as there is a physical body, you honor the illusion of the material aspect of life. So this means to integrate in your life in a coherent whole these different levels. And let's say, just to give an example, at the level of your physical life, you may have still some professional things to pursue that can be valuable for you and others. At the level of service, which is the level of the soul, so to speak, the soul's intent in this environment, this physical environment, which is the soul is present in the physical body too. So the soul has its agenda, and you honor that agenda by serving others in the capacity that gives you joy, in the capacity that you your vocation or a specialty of the soul is pointing to. As much as you know what is the specialty of the soul, which is not that difficult to figure out. So that is the key here, is integrating these agendas. The agenda of the physical requires, to pursue some material comfort, making sure the body is well provided with the right food and good food and enjoyment, and the enjoyment of healthy pleasures, and at the level of relationships, to attain and keep good relationships with everybody, to feel that you are being loved and that you are also expressing love in this plane, and so on. We could say that each one of the chakras has its own fundamental motivation, as I have explained in the previous videos. So all these motivations need to be integrated. And of course, the motivation at consciousness level is to continue embodying the awakening. Embodying it means to function more and more from true nature, and purifying the temple, the mind-body system, so that the mind-body system which is a temple of the divine, of consciousness, becomes an effective instrument for the expression of consciousness in this world. So if you do this, you shouldn't get depressed, neither bored. Boredom is also one of the things that can create depression, lack of interest in life. Another way to look at this is from the perspective of doing versus being. Do not, after awakening, do not try to stay away from doing. Doing is something positive. Yes, beingness is the ultimate, but doing continues. As long as there is a physical body, doing has to continue. The body is an instrument, it needs to move, needs to do, and trying to remove doing. No, I'm just into beingness now. I'm too high above. I'm above doing. No. If there is no body, no physical body, and no astral body, then yes, consciousness, pure consciousness, is completely above doing. But as long as there are instruments, they need to do. So you need to attain a balance between doing and being. And in order to not get completely lost into doing, you create anchoring moments where you go back to beingness. It can be as simple as going for a walk every day and practicing resting as awareness, meditating in the morning or morning and night, or whatever helps you to anchor yourself in consciousness, in true nature, in beingness, so that you don't get also lost in doing, and because that's an imbalance also. So it's a razor's edge. You may watch that movie, The Razor's Edge. It's an old movie, but it's interesting, and the name is a good pointer to what I'm talking about here. Is a razor's edge, and it's not that difficult after awakening. You have access now after awakening. You have a better access to intuition that will guide you, and at the same time, it is a good idea to get some help in the beginning from a coach or a teacher, a master, whatever when you want to call that somebody that has helped you to awaken, or anybody that has already walked the path after awakening long enough to guide you through that territory. That territory after awakening is kind of new, and there are some pitfalls, there are some challenges. One of them is this, but there are others. So I hope this helps you to avoid getting depressed after awakening. It's not a good vibe. So if you have awakened already and you want to have coaching sessions with somebody that helps you in the beginning to enter into this new territory, and you need coaching sessions, I leave you my email below for embodiment sessions. If you haven't awakened yet, the same email works for that. You can get some coaching sessions to prepare yourself for awakening. And if you think that you're ready for awakening, that you are getting close, or that you have a very strong desire, a very strong devotion for awakening, then I leave you a link to the Awakening Protocol. The Awakening Protocol can help you to wake up, to take that last step, because Advaita and the Advaita teachings go on waking you up a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. Every time you watch a video, every time you understand something, every time you get an insight, that's a little awakening. In fact, the path is from insight to insight to insight. So if you have been looking into Advaita YouTubes and what teachers are saying, and even what this teacher is saying, or you have been reading books for a while, you are already waking up. And but when awakening really, really happens, there is kind of a breakthrough also. So it's a gradual approaching to that peak, and then boom, there is a final insight, or a coming together of all the insights that you have had at some point, and yes, you realize, okay, yeah, now it's clear what I am and what I am not. That's awakening. So if you want to go through the Awakening Protocol, I leave you the link below. And good luck. Don't get depressed. There's nothing to be depressed about it. People fear awakening, and I know this because I have worked with quite a few students through more than a decade, and there's a lot of people that fear awakening. There's nothing to fear. You can't lose what you are not. Impossible, because you are that. It's not yours, and you can't lose what you are. So there's no way that you can lose something. That is also an illusion of the mind. The mind is sending you those thoughts. Oh, maybe I will disappear, or awakening will mean that I don't exist anymore, or something like that. That's BS. You cannot disappear. What you are is forever. What you are was always that way. What you will be what you are already. And what you are not, you will never lose it, because it's not yours. So take care and have a good evening or morning or whatever.